If you're working on your dog's behavior and you're trying to change things that you view as problematic, you need to ask yourself, what are you doing differently? Okay, so your dog got to the point where it's at by doing the things that you have been doing with the dog. There's going to be your interactions, the rules that have been laid out just for the dog's understanding of things, right? And if we want things to change, all of these other moments have to change as well, right? So let's say, your dog is reactive, right? And you just let your dog stare out the window and bark at all the things. Maybe not, you don't like it, but the dog is able to practice it. What are you going to do differently so the dog isn't practicing those things, right? What does your walk look like? If you're practicing the same walk as it is and your dog gets reactive on there, you need to do things differently, because otherwise you're going to stay stuck in the same cycle and your dog is going to be practicing the same things. Okay? If your dog, shows things, if it's destructive in the house and you keep just letting it be wandering around in the house, it's going to continue to be destructive in the house. We need to put things in place to block those behaviors so we can teach other behaviors. And if you're not willing to do those things, you're going to be stuck in the same cycle. So it's not always just about teaching the dog to do something different. We also need to reflect on ourselves and what we are doing and how we are also influencing those particular things that we may not like. Okay? The dog is very good at being a dog. Dogs do a lot of dog things, and a lot of these dog, I want to say a lot of them, but some of these dog things can be conflicting to what the human wants in their life, right? Or in their home, just whatever it is. How for us humans it could be bad. For the dogs it can be good. And so we need to be very clear in what the dog is practicing, what the dog is learning, and then how are we influencing what the dog is learning and practicing. Okay, so it's very much on the human as it is the dog. And yes, there are going to be some cases where it's going to be like, yeah, it's probably just the dog, or maybe it's just the human. But there's always going to be a give and take. It's a two-way road, and we need to be aware of those things, right? You can't just send your dog away to a training and then expect them to come back perfect and you keep doing the exact same thing that you're doing, okay? It's really going to come down to, what are you doing differently? Are you practicing with your dog? Are you, putting rules in place? If you don't have any of these things and you sent your dog out to training and then they come back to you and they do great, but then they revert back to what they were doing, that's going to be on you by not following through with what was happening during the training. You're not following the rules. You're not implementing the structure. You're not practicing what you need to be practicing. And so think about what you're doing and how that's going to influence the dog. If you're not doing anything different, or you're not willing to do anything different, your dog is always going to be the same. And then those things that you don't like are probably just going to get worse.